And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, that big head's in the way, PK. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Got to say this right off the bat. We're treading water here at the beginning of the show. We're going to join some media availability right off the bat for the Utah Hockey Club. They're over there at the Utah Olympic Oval, and we're expecting to hear from President of Hockey Operations Chris Armstrong, General Manager Bill Armstrong, Head Coach Andre Tourigny, and so we're going to take that stuff live as we get it. Hi, Ben.
Probably
Coach Bear is going to be first, we just heard.
Probably one of the last times they're going to be over there, right? By next season, the practice facility, I would imagine, would be ready to go.
Listen, sorry, I thought we were going. It's the advantage of being live and local all day and being, I was thinking about this on Friday with the Miller event. It was so cool to be out there and be able to bring that to our listeners live. All right, let's go to the Olympic Oval and Coach Tourigny.
On the ice.
Well, I think we took a lot of steps. I think if we can go back at the training camp, you were asking us how will you keep the puck out of your net and how this team will perform defensively. I think our underlying numbers showed how much we improved defensively, how much that team commit to defend better. I think that would be a long answer because there were a lot of improvement mentally in our game management, how to manage the stress. How we got better playing in front of our fans and the pressure we're putting on ourselves to perform. I think we overcame that and we became really comfortable and we really took a home ice advantage at the end. I think the way we manage the pressure situation in game, we played so many tight games, so many one-goal games, so many games where we had the lead by one or trailing by one in the third. And the way we perform, I think all of that was a huge step for our team.
Ryan Miller, KSL.com. As you mentioned, the underlying numbers are good. A lot of top 10s in the league and a lot of those. What's the process of turning those underlying numbers into numbers?
The offseason is figuring that out. But I think there's a lot of part of it. It's growth. It's there's the performance and there's the result. It starts by performing. When right now we're performing, our underlying numbers showed it. But I will compare you to a situation. You have a young centerman in your team in the NHL at any team. Most likely, he will struggle on his face-off the first year. And then you will see the second year will be 2-3% better. And the year after will be 3-4% better. I can give you names in our team, can give you team in other team. We look at it. Example, we look at Jack McBain when he arrived in the league. Every year he got better in his face-off. And he's the same player. He just get more result. Does he do something really different? No. He get more experience. He perfect his craft. He's more capable of adapting of what the guys on the other side is doing. You look at Adam Lowry is one of the best centermen on face-off in the league. Look at his number when he arrived in the league, 40, 42, 46%. Got better. Now it's really tough. So my comparison is the same thing for the team. Right now, the process is the good one. Every time we want to now get a little bit better in our result. The performance has to sustain and even improve. We're not satisfied by any means. We recognize the progress. We recognize what's been done. But we will keep getting better in our process. But we believe our team, second youngest team in the league, that's sometimes what you get. You don't have always the result you want. You don't have what you want to show for.
Belle Fraser, Salt Lake Tribune. Just looking at the offseason, what do you think the team needs in terms of personnel or areas of growth with the guys you do have to come in next year stronger?
And I look at the same kind of air and everything, but you can ask him that. And I appreciate your question. Just joking. I think will be a question for Bill. I think we had our exit meeting when we're looking for and stuff like that. Having that said, my job is not to talk about what we want to have in our team. My job is to work with the player who are provided, and I'm really happy about the progression in that sense has been made. If you look in the last 12 months, what we had to the lineup, with the Cozy, the Tourigny, the Marines, the Olimata, Dissimon, that's on the back end. Up front, we had addition as well, the Stanny and so on and so forth. So we improved a lot. There's still what I like about what we did in the, if I look back a couple of years ago, we needed a player no matter what. Just, if you're a good player, we're happy to have you. Now we're looking for specific area of our game to be better, specific area which that will be touched later on, but I'm not sure that's for the public. I don't want the GM and the coach on the other side to know exactly what we're looking for.
Brogan Houston from Deseret News. I'm just wondering, how have you noticed the fans' kind of hockey intelligence grow over this last year?
That's a good question. From our side, there's three things for me, the coaches, were really grateful. The first thing is our fans. I think the way they support us all year long, the enthusiasm in the arena, the love we got on and off the ice, everywhere, the way they welcome us in Utah, people of Utah, the way they did it, we're so grateful for it. It made it easy, it made it exciting, we wanted to perform for them, and I think we created that connection. It was magical. That's one. Two, we're grateful for our ownership, I think. Ryan and Ashley, the way they treated us and what they provide for us and the environment they create and the value they push inside of our organization, it's been awesome. So we're really grateful for them to be with us and to support us all the time. And the third one, and I cannot go beside that, is our player, the way they fought, the way they progressed, the way, along the way I talk, the first question about how we progress this season, every time they put their mind at something, they really dig in to improve, and they were resilient, they were connected, they were engaged, they were disciplined on what we have to do to get better, and they really get better. So I'm really grateful for their effort, their commitment, their enthusiasm, the way they embrace the community in Utah. That was amazing. So for those things, I'm really, really grateful.
Tom Walker, Sports Radio Service. Following up a little bit on Brogan's question. So it's been a year now since the airplane landed. You headed off to the Delta Center for the first time. You had that amazing reception there. What surprised you most in the last year since coming here about the state of Utah, the fans? When you go out in public, do you get recognized? What's it like?
Yeah. First of all, it's what impressed me the most is the people. What's impressive might probably not be the right word, but the best impression I had is on the people, in the sense of everywhere I go, from the restaurants, from everywhere in the crowd, even when I was coming at the Jazz game, it's not the same necessarily fans, but people were talking about how much they embrace hockey. They didn't know hockey, and now they love the game, they love the team, and they love to come at the game and all that stuff. I think you never know. You're going in a new city. People were talking about the culture of hockey. It's not the same than others, and we didn't feel that at all. We didn't feel we were kind of unknown or whatever. We really feel the people embrace our team and how excited they were. So I think there's a lot to talk about that. I think I will have never said that a year ago, but when you go somewhere and you feel people want you, that makes you feel really, really damn good. It's tough to not get out of your bed and be excited. You're excited to, let's get better today. Let's get at it, and I think that's credit to the people I just mentioned before, from our player to our ownership, but especially the fans.
Sarah Merrifield, Utah Hockey Club. Now that you've had a chance to digest the season, was there a moment or a stretch or a game that you felt like this is an indicator of what this team is going to look like in 5-10 years from now?
Yeah, I will. No, I did not analyze it that way, but I will tell you the game against Van, the poise of our team, the dedication, we were so could have a bomb in the ring and we'll have not changed our focus. I was straight on, unwavering. Was wow. Okay, that's where we want to go. I think that's my first reaction, but probably if I put more thoughts in it, I will have a better answer or more moments. But sorry, we talk about it as a team where that game was. I was tuned in.
Catherine Bogart, Utah Hockey Club. Every year the league gets more competitive, and really any team can win any night. Where did you see the entire league take a step? And are there any trends that you're seeing teams play a certain way that you haven't seen before?
Yeah, we can get technical on that one, but you're totally right. There's difference on, everybody adjusts. That's the thing. It's you need not just adjust what happened last year. You need to try to have a vision of where the game's going. And just give an example, a couple of years ago when you were activating your D, that was opening a lot of space on top of the zone. The winger were shrinking, and that's the way we were creating our offense. Last year, that stopped. The team figured that out, and now everybody plays a certain way against the high cycling, and you cannot get in the center of the ice by doing that. You need to change the way. So there's a lot of improvement. There's a lot of more broken play, dirty play. There's, before there were, but it's less. There were a huge difference between the season and the playoff. That was two different leagues. Now it's closer. It's still, the playoff is another level of intensity. So you probably had the opportunity to watch a few games of that's unreal hockey. I cannot wait to be in there, but it's closer to the season. I felt this year in November that we're already at level of intensity was okay. We know and they know we're in the playoff race. We know that 2 points is something really important, which before I felt there were more leadway, there were more, okay, we'll see where everybody is at Thanksgiving, and then we'll see about the All-Star break or Four Nation. And I felt the urgency way earlier during the season. We were in November, and team were going at it. I was kind of, wow, okay, it's on.
Dana Green with ABC4. At the beginning of the year, you probably could have made a lot of money if you bet that Karel Vejmelka would be voted the team MVP. I mean, he came from virtual anonymity as the backup to maybe the most important player on the team this year, and now he's the future. He is the goalie of the future. What does he mean to this franchise, and where did you see him really kind of connect as the guy in the net?
It's a really good question. It's a good observation, but having that said, there's nothing Veggie did this year. Well, I should not say nothing, but his performance this year did not surprise us in terms of he can do that. What he did the different is he sustained. Because those kind of miracles you saw, we saw that before. I saw that in his first year. Bill and I and the coach we still talk about his game in Winnipeg, where we won 1-0 his first year, where we didn't touch the puck. He just won the game by himself. So that did happen before. We saw by stretch the way he played this year. We saw that by stretch in the last 3 years. Well, we saw this year's consistency. He had a so-so training camp. We talked with him, and he agreed with that. Then he came out of the training camp, and Higgy was playing most of the game. But he got his rhythm slowly, and he started to perform or outperform Higgy at some point. And then Higgy had his injury and his situation, and then give the opportunity to Veggie, and he really took off from there. What he did is sustain. The performance he was doing at that moment was not like for us, like, where's that coming from? Oh, it's kind of, okay. Now we know he can do that. Can he sustain? Will he sustain? And I think he was more equipped. He's older. He has more experience. To the question a little bit earlier about the advanced stats versus the actual result. It's the same thing for a goalie. It's the same thing for defenseman, center, and et cetera, et cetera. It's the experience. Now, we knew he was capable of doing it. Now he's capable of doing it on a more consistent basis.
Jeff Wright here with Fox 13. You've been through this process of the rebuild. As the head coach, now that you're at this point, what is it like to be the head coach of this group, knowing now you guys are playoff contenders?
That's fun. Don't get me wrong. I embrace every stage because every stage bring a challenge, bring something to get you going to you're chasing something. So there's challenge and important phases, and it's an important stage. I think that said, you do all of that for one reason, to win. We want to win the cup. That's what we want. Where are we in that stage? I will let you judge that. Having that said, we know we're getting better, and it's exciting because, okay, now we're getting there. Now we're competitive every night, and now we're looking at the team on the other side, and we're not thinking, if they play their B game and we play our A game, we got them. Now we're thinking, okay, let's put the two team and play our A game, both of us, and we'll figure it out in the last 5 minutes who get the post in. That's a great feeling.
Paul Fraser, Salt Lake Tribune. When we talked to Michael Carcone, he said he felt like he didn't have the right opportunity to prove himself, but he understood because of the place the team is in. What was it like for you balancing your lineup when so many of the young players were having the seasons that they did?
There's two parts of it. There's the business side, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you need to perform. It's the best league in the world, and it is what it is, and my job is to put the guy who performed the most on the ice. But then there's a personal side. Michael Carcone is one of my favorite guys in the locker room. He's a great guy. He's fun to talk to. He's a straight shooter. He has a great family. His wife is unbelievable. His kids they have energy forever. I love everything about Carts. Every day he's fun to interact with. You do video session with him. There's no BS. I love Carts. So I don't like that. I don't like the situation. I didn't like to go see him and say, hey, you're not playing tonight. It was not a fun time of my day. I think I have no problem to do it. It's the business. I'm hired to be the coach, and I love to be the coach of the team. But it's the same thing with every other player you can talk about. Every guys who were not playing regularly. Yeah. Liam O'Brien, I think everybody know how much I love Obi. He didn't play for 30-odd game. That's business. Do I feel bad business-wise about it? No. That was the decision we took as a staff, as all organization. That's the direction we were going in, and there were reasons for that. And unfortunately for Obi, we didn't have any injury up front, and that led for him to not play for a long, long time. That on the business side, it is what it is. On the personal side, I thought was not a fun situation. I think this guy can play on a regular basis every day in the NHL, so that was not fun. But at the end of the day, we're here for business first, and we need to take care of the people, but it's business. We need to deliver. We need to win game. We need to transform our numbers and result, and that's the way it is. And it's unfortunate some player that affect their professional life / personal life, and it will be like that every year. And more problem like that we have, better it is. That's mean we have a better team, and that's what happened to Karks or other this year. We had a better team, and we create accountability, and some guys earn a better job and some guys lose their job. That will be like that next year as well, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends upon which side you are in.
Brogan Houston again, Deseret News. I'm just wondering if you're planning on going to the World Championship this summer.
No, I'm not. No, this year will be a little bit of time with the staff, and playoff. We'll follow the playoff. We'll do a little bit of a scouting in the playoff as well, and that will be prepping for next year and take some personal time. I think everybody understand last summer was what it was, so I'll try to make up for it a little bit and take care of the family. And no, my kids are a little bit spread out. They're all in Quebec, but they're all about 8 hours apart, so there's a little bit of travel. Mommy planned a little bit of travel.
Any more questions for Coach? All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll have Bill and Chris momentarily.
All right, there you go. That is the coach, Andre Tourigny. We're going to keep it here for a couple of minutes and then hear from the president and the GM. But any takeaways there, Ben, on what we heard from the Bear?
No, I've always liked his honesty. And you heard him talking about Carcone, which if there was anything really concrete that I guess we took away from Thursday's media day, their locker room clean out, was that Michael Carcone was not very happy with his playing time and is looking for an opportunity elsewhere. And like you said, it was a guy you could always shoot it straight with, and I think that's a nice bit of transparency that you get. And Coach Bear was open about it too, said he didn't like that, wished he could play him more, doesn't get the ability to, but that is the situation they're in.
Could have a bomb in the ring, and I've not changed our focus.
Well, that would be serious.
A bomb in the
I
ring.
would hope that would actually change your focus. That would be better for
Everyone go away from the bomb.
Everybody involved. Let's not take Coach literally there. Let's fight against that. But no, you allude to something which I would guess is the hardest part of any pro coach's job. I think specifically in the pros when you're dealing with a little bit more maturity, but you're also dealing with money and that sort of thing. The relationship with the player, and transparency is a word that is a buzzword and it gets waved. You could never be ultimately transparent with anybody. It's how you manage the relationship. But what players don't like is dishonesty. So, all right, let's get to the president and the GM, Chris Armstrong and Bill Armstrong.
We're all in this venue together. So I wanted to start by thanking the Oval, Colin Hilton and Todd Porter for making this a great home for us, a great temporary home for us in our inaugural season. Everything has been first class, and we appreciate it because, as everybody knows, we were moving fast when this all came together, and to have a place that not only provided us everything we needed but more in this first season was extremely important. Carrying on with the thank yous, obviously want to recognize Ryan and Ashley Smith and our ownership group for their unbelievable support and resources in this inaugural season. Not only to give us the ability to stand up this operation in record time, but to do it to the standard that we all expect and know is going to produce a winning franchise. The other element of it is you saw them at every game, whether it was Jazz or Utah Hockey Club, front row, supporting our staff, supporting our players. That's extremely energizing from an athlete perspective to see ownership that invested and committed. And this was a whirlwind for them as well, taking on this project and all of the additional nights in the building. And they did it with tremendous enthusiasm and support and encouragement. And we are very grateful to them for that, as we are to every member of the organization at SEG whose selfless hard work made all of it possible. We talk about all the time the achievements of this inaugural season and how exceptional it is from the outside, what's been accomplished here. That only happens because of the people that we have in the organization, and they put their hands up, they leaned all the way in, and they did whatever it took to get us ready and to put us in a position to have a successful inaugural season, one that we can certainly be proud of, and that I think has laid the foundation for a very successful future for our organization. Can't go further without acknowledging and thanking our fans. Our fans, the community, our partners, the energy and support that has been shown to us since day one. Extremely motivating, extremely energizing. We felt it. We felt that energy. We felt that passion, and it carried on throughout the year. We were welcomed with open arms. We were made to feel like Utah was our home right from the very beginning, and we're all proud to call it our home now. And we're excited to continue to pay that back and pay that forward to our fans, and to be great stewards in this community, to be great leaders in this community, and to give back in every way that we possibly can, to inspire the next generation of kids to choose this amazing game that we're all fortunate to work in. On and off the ice, we've had what I deem to be a season we can be proud of. And, off the ice, we are top 15 in the league, or top half of the league in partnership revenue, top 2/3 in the league in ticketing. We sold the building out every night. The merchandise records have been well documented and well discussed. Unbelievable job by our organization to be able to put those numbers on the board in the time frame that we were able to do it, and I want to make sure that we recognize them. And of course, that doesn't happen without the support of our fans, community, and the partners as well. On the ice, I think there's a ton of reason to be optimistic about the future for this organization and what we can do in a short amount of time. Give Bill and our front office a ton of credit for the work they did this season, preparing for this season under the circumstances, and the acquisitions we made, Sergachev being, the highest profile one, what he brought to our organization from a culture standpoint and leadership standpoint, the adjustments that Bill made throughout the year, given our injuries, exceptional. The additions of Olimata, Nick DeSimone, securing Veggie, Curfy, Cole, and Mata into as key pieces to our future with their contract extensions. A great job there, and Bear too deserves a ton of credit. He and our entire coaching staff, development staff. I think it was 9 career bests on our roster this season. Our young guys took a critical and necessary step forward, and we go into this offseason with a ton of energy to continue to improve the team and put ourselves in a position to take an even further step. The bearer of disappointing news, I'm not in a position to give you much of an update today on the naming of the team. I know that's a topic of great interest. We're thrilled to have engaged our fans. If you want to leave, or you want me to leave, but yeah, we've obviously been thrilled to engage our fans at what we think is a pretty unprecedented level, and we're definitely in the home stretch and on track to announce that in the coming months here. But not much more I can say about it today. So with that, I turn the room over to questions.
Thank you, Chris. Let's begin with Catherine.
Catherine Bogart, Utah Hockey Club. Bill, when it comes to the lessons that can be learned from being competitive down the stretch, fighting for the playoffs for this young core, what's the biggest lesson you anticipate them taking from this season moving forward?
Well, I get excited, first of all. We get a lot of young players that really had great years. And there's not many NHL teams that can say that, they have the Cooley, the Gunthers of the world that young, producing that amount of points. So it's exciting. What we learned down the stretch and what they'll continue to learn, and if you watch the NHL hockey from last night, is it's hard. There's not an ounce of space that's given out there. It is hard, physical, competitive hockey. And I love the fact that down the stretch, and I talked about this when we came in a year ago, just about seeing if we could put our group in a situation where we could play a little bit of that hockey down the stretch, and we were able to. All the games were meaningful. We were under tremendous pressure. You go into games where you didn't play well, and you got to come back the next night and play well in Vancouver, and it was a great for our young team to go through that, because next year we've got bigger aspirations of getting in, and you're going to see that right away. And it's a battle, and I liked what we went through. I think it prepared us for next season.
And Chris, you touched on it briefly with Sergachev, but could you talk about the leadership group from the player standpoint and what all 4 players who wore a letter this season mean to this team and the impact that they had on this group?
Yeah, Catherine, I think it starts with Kels and how he embraced the opportunity and the challenge of being our inaugural, our first captain. And certainly it appeared to me early on in the season. I think we were in Boston in November, and I saw Kels and Sergei coming back from dinner together, and it was just really reaffirming to me that we had a group that really cared about each other. Sergei wanted Kels to be successful in that role and impart the things that he had learned with a front row seat to great leaders in Hedman and Stamkos as examples in Tampa, to be able to impart that knowledge and that wisdom and experience to help Kels be successful. And I think Kels did an unbelievable job of balancing that responsibility and also having a career best year for himself as well. Curfy is another example. From the very beginning of the season, it was very clear how much he cared about his teammates and making sure that the transition here to Utah went smoothly for them and that all of their interests were managed, and we didn't have any blind spots as an organization to things they might be thinking or needing along the way.
Krauser, always a steady hand from a leadership perspective, loves his teammates, will do anything for his teammates. So it's really, the leadership group is a collective thing, but it's not just the guys with letters either. It extends deep into the room with the experience that we acquired in Stenlin and Cole, for example, and the things that they've learned along the way being part of successful teams. So I would say that was the thing I'm most proud of this year, is the collective view to that responsibility of leading this team forward and helping our young guys to take that next step.
Sarah Merrifield, Utah Hockey Club. I have one for each of you as well, but I'll start with Bill, if that's okay. Bears talked a lot about this group earning respect of the league over the course of the year. How did that earning of respect for this group help impact and factor into the growth that you saw over the course of the year?
Well, I take it as a compliment when you run into the opposing GM going down the hallway and he's like, "Ooh, you guys are going to be good. You're not fun to play against," and for us on the other side of that, we want to make sure that when we play the tough teams, the top 10 teams in the National Hockey League, that's the way we earn respect, is you got to beat those guys on a consistent basis. And we're getting there. You saw greatness at times, and you could see us play against the big boys and do well. And I felt like as a group, we also played better situational hockey with a minute left in the period, getting pucks deep, just doing the right thing. And that was a lot of growth for us. And I think teams are getting more respect for us because of the young guys and the way that they play, but they also play the right way. And that's where the respect comes. And I was really excited just down the stretch and how we played.
So as far as, operationally speaking, in reflection of this year, kind of a peach in the pit type question, how, you guys did a lot in such a short period of time. What are you most proud of, and how this organization, successfully succeeded, and then also maybe something that could be better going into next year?
Yeah, well, everything can always be better, so that would be my first answer to that, and that's certainly what we aspire to going into the offseason is how can we be, as Ryan addressed the team at the end of the season, how can we be 10% better in every area? How can everybody as individuals get 10% better in this offseason? So that will definitely be the focus. I think the thing we're all most proud of is the way that we connected with the community here this year. I think it was an extraordinary thing to be a part of and to experience and to feel. The best example, the energy in the building every night was extraordinary and exceptional. Opening night, even if you go back to the welcome event with the players, very few of us have had the opportunity in careers in professional sports, regardless of the sport, to be in an environment like that where you felt that pride for the team, the pride for Utah, and it translated throughout the season as a real rallying point for our team. The gravitas, the magnitude of what we were creating for the people of Utah is a great responsibility that we take very seriously, and I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, to see how we've connected in the community when you're out and about and people tell you how much the team means to them, or how they've connected with one of their kids by going to Utah Hockey Club games, and that's transformed the relationship they have in their household. Those are the things that we do it for. Like, that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. And the best way to inspire is to win, and obviously that's our goal. But when you get a chance to feel what the team means to people, that's a pretty special part of the job, for sure.
Belle Fraser, Salt Lake Tribune. For Bill, how is Connor Ingram doing, and do you expect him to be ready for next season?
A great question. Some of that is a lot of it is unknown. We don't, when players go into the program, we don't have any contact with them, so it's hard for us to speculate. But the good news for us right now as we sit here in this room is we know he's in a good place at the program, and we wish him the best. I know I'd like to say also to the fans that just had the outreach, they put a big card together for him and just sent wonderful messages to them. So we do appreciate that, and we'll see how that transpires later on, but it's tough to speculate right now.
Maybe change or influence the way you look at the goaltending position this summer in terms of the market and what you need?
Yeah, we haven't got too far into that. It's a good question. We have our hockey meetings coming up for the next 2 days, and then after that we'll go back into building the team. And obviously, in any situation that you're building, you always look to provide depth in that, so we'll be no different. But we haven't really got into it because there's a lot of speculation, so we'll have more work to do on that.
Tom Walker, Sports Radio Service. Going into the offseason now, what does your offseason look like this year now that you're planted? And also, are there any skill sets you're looking for in the draft, in free agency? Do you have any financial restrictions?
You threw a lot of questions there. I like it. Well, it's an interesting time of the season with the schedule. It's everybody in the hockey ops has different schedules, and for the GM and assistant GM and the president, it's almost like it's go time now for us. Going out seeing games on the amateur and pro side, trying to address our needs, trying to get planned out for development camp and all the rest of things, and also hirings of new staff members. So it's really a busy time. It's a time to plan. There's a sadness in the air because you're not in the playoffs, and that's on your TV every single night, but it's also a motivation for our group to get to that level, and you do that through planning and drafting. And obviously, I have a firm belief that my job's not that complicated in one sense. You just get one good player and stack them on another good player and another player, and soon enough you have a great team. And that starts with the draft, and we'll be focusing in on getting some good players out of the draft like we've done in the past.
Ryan Miller, KSL.com. Chris, do you have an update on the Delta Center renovations for the summer and what that schedule looks like?
So we have a more comprehensive update coming soon in that regard. I won't get into too many of the details here, but the work has already begun for this offseason, and it will continue right through to our first home preseason game. A lot of work to be done over the next several summers to optimize the building for hockey, to address all of the partial view seating that we have in the building, and I'm absolutely confident with the plan, although the plan can be interrupted by the success of either one of the teams, which is a great reason to disrupt the plan and the progress. But that when it's all said and done, we'll have one of the best buildings, not only for basketball but also for hockey in the world.
And then Bill, Logan is extension eligible this summer. How much of a priority is that to get done?
Well, obviously it's a mutual thing that you get together with the player and the agent and get down to work. There's a lot of comparables out there for a player like that. So we're looking forward to those talks. Obviously he's a great young player in our organization. We've had success in getting the Dylan Gunther contract done, so we'll definitely look at it, and we'll update you as we move along in the summer. But there's certainly no rush at this point. There's other priorities. Not that Logan's not a huge priority, but it's just the way it rolls, and we'll deal with it at some point in time in the summer.
Dana Green, ABC4 for Bill. You're going to have quite a bit of salary cap room. That doesn't mean you have to use it all, but can you just discuss your philosophy of going into free agency about spending smartly?
Yeah, it's a great question. I see on all the blogs and that how much cap room we have, and Ryan is definitely capable of the ownership group of making sure that we can pretty much get anything done in the league that we need to get done. But it doesn't mean that you spend unwisely. And a lot of teams that you saw that won the summer didn't win the winter. And it's really important that we have planning through our coaches, through our pro scouts, through our president, through everybody, to make sure that we spend the money wisely. Because once the money's gone, it's usually locked in for a long term. And then, next year we're talking about how do we get rid of some of that money. So it's really a tricky one where you have to be very, very cautiously spend your money. I like what we've done in the past with it. We haven't really committed long term. Now, not to say if there isn't a player there this summer that makes sense, that addresses our needs, we're going to go after that player. But we certainly don't want to be sitting here a year from now going, oh, wow, that guy was a dud, that guy was a dud. And, we won the summer and we had huge media praise and everybody loved what we did and thought we had the greatest summer in the world, and yet we couldn't win in the winter. You also have to remember, too, we probably get the most amount of draft picks and prospects coming in. So there's a portion of it where when we sit and plan, we look at the future and we say, okay, well, this guy's going to score for us. This guy's going to score for us. Can we get a player that could come in here, help us, achieve our goals to get in the playoffs, but not lock up that spot to the point where the prospect never gets an opportunity to come in and show what he can do. And eventually, as we move through this, we're going to need players on entry-level contracts to play for us because you're going to have all your money locked up. And that's a good thing because obviously that means you've drafted well and signed well and you're successful and all that, but you're going to need young players on entry-level contracts. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, but we're excited about going through that process this summer, and hopefully we can identify our needs and really spend the money wisely.
And now that the NHL has seen a full season in Utah, how attractive do you think it's going to be for free agents to want to come play for this?
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think very attractive, and I think our players are the best ambassadors and advocates of that. And their exit interviews on Thursday of last week spoke volumes about their experience here and how much they view it as a destination and a great place to raise a family, to work on their craft, and to be part of a winning organization. So your players are always going to be your best advocates. Hopefully they all go home to their non-Utah homes this offseason and spread the word. And to Bill's point, there's not a single conversation that we won't be able to entertain with the capability and capacity to execute on it. And so as long as it makes sense for the short and long-term vision that we have for this organization, then that's a great place to be. Having that kind of flexibility is a great place to be.
Jeff Reiner with Fox 13. Bill, you mentioned the prospects. Is there a player or two that you think can make the next step and get to this team next year that you are really excited about?
Well, we'll go into negotiations once the KHL finishes up. To our top prospects, Daniel Boot and Dmitry Simishev are over there, and we'll get into negotiations with them. Those are two of our top guys, and they've played at a high level. They play at Locomotive right now, which you guys probably aren't that familiar with, but they have a great culture of winning and playing hard hockey, and it's impressive what they've gone through in the last few years since we've drafted them, and they've grown as young men. So that will be exciting to see where we can go with those negotiations and see if we can eventually negotiate to bring them over here. But they could certainly have some impact on our club. They haven't played over in North America, so there's a little bit of that where the rink size is obviously smaller and it's at a higher level. But at the same time, they're pretty advanced for playing over in the KHL, and they'd have to come over there and earn their stripes with coach. But I'm pretty sure at some point in time that they'll have an opportunity to play for us.
Brogan Houston from the Deseret News. Bill, this one's mostly for you. We saw that Doug Armstrong in St. Louis had some success this year with his offer sheets, and I'm wondering what your philosophy is on that, if it's more generally acceptable now or if it's still kind of taboo. What's your philosophy?
Well, we'll see what happens, right? The offer sheet has always been there. People have to realize when you put an offer sheet in, it has to work. It has to make sense. It just can't, aggravate the other team because, they're going to come after you at some point in time and just run up your salaries. I know in the past when it's been done to my team I was with in the past, all we did was return the favor later on. So in this particular case, that the St. Louis Blues, it worked for them. We'll see how the new NHL adjusts to that, and if it's a new thing that happens every summer. And was it just the perfect storm that it happened one time? But we'll be in the process, of teams looking at us trying to offer sheet us eventually when. We ended up extending some good young players on long-term contracts. So,
Andrea Urban, Fox 13, back here. Hi, guys. So inaugural season, it's so crazy because it was a day-by-day thing, but it felt like years. So as you guys look back, for both of you, from a president and GM perspective, what is something you take pride in the most? And this can be anything.
I think for me personally, it was the opportunity to get up every day and work with an amazing group of people and know that we were creating something every single day. We were layering on top of what we built yesterday. I think that's a very privileged and fulfilling place to be. It makes it really easy to get up in the morning. And I think for me, it's this feeling of pride that I feel throughout our whole organization to see how everybody was committed to being their absolute best and doing whatever they could to help us be successful, whether that was on the hockey side or the business side. It was an ethos of the entire organization. And, that to be part of any first is an extraordinary experience, and this was a season and a year of firsts. Every corner you turned, it was a new first, and so that I feel very grateful for that.
I would say on my end is I went to the World Championships last year, and there was a game that was played in Riga, Latvia, and Latvia played Sweden, and it was a brand new building, and it was the loudest building I've ever been in my life. And I actually videoed it, and I said, this is one of my goals, is to be in something like this. And there we were opening night, and it was just as loud. It was like we had been around for 10 years. Credit to the people on the business side, just everything. Chris did an amazing job at getting everything dialed in and detailed, and it was so loud in there. I said, hey, we're here right now. This is what you wish for, and here it is. The experience for myself and my family, my wife, it's been incredible in Utah. Our neighborhood, the kids. We went to the grocery store the other day, and a lady was petting our dogs, and we were walking, and she found out that we were at the hockey club, and she's like, couldn't thank us enough. Thank you for coming. I can't kind of express the gratitude we have for our fans and the people of Utah. It's been a special 1 year for us.
Bill, when it comes to growing the game, that's, of course, part of being here in Utah, inspiring the next generation. What have you seen now of your organization focusing in on creating the next generation of NHL players here in Utah?
Well, I think Chris has a lot to do with that, because he's really, he pushed so hard to not only put one rink in for the practice facility, but two. And when you add 2 rinks into a community, it's huge. We're going to try and give back. Bear is an amazing coach at teaching youth hockey coaches too, and we're going to try and get them involved in our development camp and do some sessions for them. I think the players on the ice, when someone sees that, there's so many people that went to games, and Ryan was talking about this on a call, how it inspired other people to bring other people, and kids are like that. Like that now they know what hockey is. They want to go and play somewhere, and Chris can speak on that a little bit, because he did an amazing job at really pushing to get 2 rinks into the community. So.
And the third to come. That's the plan. But and rinks throughout the state, as I'm sure all of you saw with Ryan's tweet a couple of weeks ago, challenging the community to get behind us and do this together. That's really how you create that type of growth, is locking arms with community leaders and businesses and doing it together, where everyone's invested in the outcome of getting more kids in this state the opportunity to choose hockey. We've had over 10,000 kids touch our youth programming this year. That is all credit to Kristen Bonus, who joined us from Nashville, and Nate Martinez, who is one of the architects of the Junior Jazz program. They've done a phenomenal job of getting all of that rolling. We've had everyone from our broadcast team to players out in the Learn to Play events in the community. We've had, I think, 600 kids go through Learn to Play. So everybody, our players, our staff, our broadcast team, everybody's leaned into that mission of growing the game at the grassroots level, and we're just getting started. So, Sarah, your question earlier about things that we're proud of, that's certainly one of them as well. And but we got a lot of work to do there. So.
And Chris, something that a lot of players said in their exit interviews, from top to bottom, this organization has a really strong culture. How was this organization able to establish a championship culture with the players and the staff?
Well, I think a lot of that, Catherine, has to do with the group that we largely acquired. We talk about this being a hybrid of expansion and relocation. The reality is, instead of an expansion draft, we acquired an entire roster of players, a coaching staff, and a front office. That culture already existed with that group, and that group itself had been through a lot that really, brought them together and created close connections and close bonds, which was very similar to what already existed here at SEG with the all-in mentality that exists here. So I think it was a very seamless melding of a culture that had already started to be built, that we were fortunate to acquire, and the culture that already existed here that we've been able to, I think, contribute positively to and also learn a lot from top to bottom in the organization.
All right, there you go. Press conference this morning. That was President of Hockey Operations Chris Armstrong and General Manager Bill Armstrong. There might be a few extra minutes on that. We'll make sure it gets up in its entirety online at KSLSports.com.
Did not think they'd fill the hour.
Well, hey, all good stuff. So, it's year number 1.
Yeah, big year.
And it allows you, everything was new, or at least a hybrid of new, as you heard there. So,
and another big summer coming up.
All right, we'll have more Jake and Ben coming up. Steve Bartle, top of the 11 o'clock hour, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Utah Jazz select.
Do you believe in karma? Well, we here at the KSL Sports Zone absolutely believe in creating good vibes for the Utah Jazz in their hopes of securing the #1 pick in the NBA Draft Lottery. Go to KSLSports.com to donate $2 to Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital. Wait, why $2? And isn't that the jersey number of...
Bob, it's just a random number, okay? Just stick to the copy.
It's a real 2-for-1. Your donation will help Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital and help the Utah Jazz capture the Good Karma flag in their hopes of recouping winning basketball in Utah.
Fingers crossed, guys.
Donate your $2 right now at KSLSports.com. The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, happy Monday to everybody listening. We want to remind you, however, about Wednesday. Your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This Wednesday, win tickets to Daughtry May 1st at the Complex. Get your tickets now at livenation.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Ben will have Steve Bartle coming up at the top of the 11 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. We'll get all the scoop on what happened at spring ball for the Utes at the spring game. But any quick takeaways from the hockey hour that we just listened to?
You and I both kind of mentioned that they were slow playing some expectations, which was interesting.
Yeah, they're kind of downplaying having, being aggressive out there.
Even, Logan Cooley's contract extension.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be a priority, and they're going to get that done. But Bill Armstrong not going out there promising X, Y, and Z this summer before they come back for the 2026 or 2025-26 season.
Which is something I get because I guess, you're talking to your fans. You want them to know that, you're not going to do anything foolish. I understand, but...
Say big game hunting.
But there's
Jazz fans loved that.
There's some enthusiasm.
Jazz fans really liked when Danny Ainge said that.
There's some enthusiasm for the team to take a next step, though. I mean, you don't have to say big game hunting.
Right. Well, one of the things...
But their message clearly was... We're not going to make foolish decisions. We're
not going to rush anything. Not going to be,
which I get, which is fine. But the messaging, I guess.
Coach Bear did say that when he started or in the past, they just needed any good player. They just didn't have enough good players, and then followed it up by saying, now we have guys who we need some specific roles. So I certainly they are going into the summer. I think not just going to letting this money burn a hole in their pocket. But I certainly would imagine they have a list of, 4 guys at each spot that they're saying, hey, this is our #1 priority. And then the question is, do you go on the offensive side? Do you go on the defensive side? Where do they look to strengthen the roster? Seems like it would be offense.
All right, Christian, are the rumors true? Are we going to get Bartle Bombs live in studio?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Have you seen him?
I have not looked.
We have not visually confirmed, Steve.
Okay.
Let me peek.
Yeah.
Steve Bartle joins us next. Excited to talk to him. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.